weight side to side. Roll off your feet a little bit, but control the movement. Notice whether you're actually able to control this solid movement as you roll to the sides of your feet, or if you feel a little bit of wonkiness in the side to side movement. Okay, then I'm going to come back to still position, bring your feet and toes down, and lift the heels up without letting the heels flare. So we want to just lift the heels straight up, come down, and then lift your toes up. Up, lift those heels. Again, if the heels go apart, try and bring them back in and then lift them. Come down, lift your toes up. Again, we want to do this with control. And the only way that, we're going to be able to do this with control is if we practice doing this, and we do it slowly, a little bit slower than you'd like to probably. Okay, and now we go flat-footed. Arms by your side. Lock the elbows so the arms don't bend. Lift the shoulders up to your earlobes. Tuck your head down, just like a little head crunch here. Take a big breath into your belly, so really deep, and then release and lower down. Now we're going to just breathe here for a couple moments. Try and breathe through the nose if possible. And if your nose is a little stuffed up, maybe give your nose just a little bit of a toot with a Kleenex, and just we'll reset here. So we're going to just breathe through the nose. Try and count for about 3 to 4, maybe even 5 seconds. You hold for about a second or two, and then you fully exhale. You can open your mouth if you like, but try and stay with nasal breathing just to get that sensation of the air coming in through the nostrils, particularly if you're not a nasal breather. So the nasal breathing will engage the diaphragm, and that is how we are actually designed to breathe. It's a muscle underneath the rib cage. And that's what we're trying to get going here, is diaphragmatic breathing. So big, deep breathing, and that will allow our body to move in all kinds of various ways, because essentially it keeps our nervous system calm. We need to be in a more calm, relaxed state and less of a anxious state. Okay, stick with that breathing. Turn your head over to the left side. Get a nice big stretch here. Go as far as you can go. Look past the shoulder, and then come back to center and look in the other direction. Look past the shoulder, come back through center, and look up, straight up. And then head down. Come back to neutral, turn your head to the left again. Drop the ear to the shoulder as you look up at the ceiling. Now really peek up, look up. Do a head circle in the other direction. We'll do 2 or 3 of these. Let's pick 3. Do it slowly, look down at the floor. Really exaggerate the movement as you do this slow speed head circle. Try and find that end range of motion. So you should feel some tension as you move through this space here. And then the very last one, again, now I'm just going to look forward and turn the head to the right, dropping ear to shoulder. And I go the other direction and seeing if I can match that big sweeping motion. I do this a couple times a day. I happen to carry tension through my neck, so for me this is quite good. And then we'll do 3 on this side. Okay, really good stuff. Okay, we're going to stretch out just a little bit more. Tuck the right arm behind you so you can keep the shoulder down. So we don't want the shoulder lifting. Keep it down. Turn your head to the left side, and then just hold on to the side of your head. Look up at the ceiling, and then draw the head down with the left ear coming to left shoulder. You want to keep that right shoulder down and back as you look up. Get the nice little stretch, and you don't have to overdo it. If you go too far, it becomes actually a bit nasty. So about 4 or 5 out of 10, 10 being the most. Somewhere in midline is good. And then still under tension, you look down, stretch out this direction, start to look through the underarm. Get slight tension, should feel good. Then release the tension altogether, and then you bring your head back to neutral. And then switch. Let's tuck the left arm back and look over to the right side. Hold on to the left side of the head, drop the ear. Oh, I can already tell I'm tighter here. Just that one little movement, I could tell. It's amazing. So definitely for me today, the left side is a little bit more tight. So I can't even bring my head down. It's so tight. Try and relax into this space. There we go. Drop the shoulder down, look up. And then look down. So these are the various ranges of motion. Look through the underarm. You can even turn your head a little bit. And then come back through that neutral position. So if you think about what we're really trying to do here is isolate all these body parts, because all these body parts have to work really quite independently. So depending on where you happen to be at the golf swing, most of the time the head is down, but the rest of the body's got to go. So here what we're doing is we're moving the head without the body, but essentially it's the same thing. So that's what we're trying to get to. Okay, have your arms by your side. Let's just lift the arms up. A little bit of finger movement, just through the fingers. Maybe slow it down a bit. Maybe pick it up a little bit. Fingers up, fingers down. Try and get that creepy crawly. These are just a bunch of straight bones doing this really kind of cool shape. It's amazing. Okay. And then you're going to make a fist, 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 and extend the arms. So fist, fist, almost like a little punch. Should be able to feel the shoulder blades moving off your back a little bit as well here. Okay, bring your hands together. Let's lock the elbows a little bit closer to our body, palms to touch, and then we're just going to move through a little bit of a rolling movement here. And then going to the other direction. And I want to take the elbows off my body and then just do the whole thing like a big circular figure eight type something or other. Here we go. That's more of a figure eight. But I'm also lifting the elbows up. And then other direction. If you've got like really good joints, then this type of movement is great. So you just have to basically keep doing it. And if you've got like arthritic joints like I do, then some of these movements are very challenging. Okay, neutral position. This time, take the hands out, but turn them, the palms face away, and then lock your fingers together. Let's lower the shoulders down, and then we're going to scoop through. Try and extend the arms as straight as you can. Notice how much range of motion there is. This is about all I can go in this position. And then I'm going to unroll and go back. So people that have joint problems, such as myself, I try and do this, but very slowly because it can be quite painful. So I just go slow through it, but I don't not do it. I still need to do it if I want to be active. And this brings a lot of vital fluids into this space, which we normally wouldn't get if we're just doing regular stuff, working on the computer and stuff. We don't have those ranges of motion. Okay, good stuff. Let's bring the arms up to shoulder height in this position and just kind of do a little bit of a wave here. And you're trying to create as much of a fluid-like movement as you can. So you want to do it slow and trying to control the entire movement. Other direction. Okay, and then the arms come down. Okay, good stuff. Let's take the arms up now, and we're just going to do a little bit of upper body bending. So we're going to curl the spine, and then we're going to straighten out. So you're going to bring the elbows behind you. Like feet can go a little bit wider. My AirPods fall out sometimes, so hopefully it won't fall out. Now, just bring the elbows back, take a big breath, and then you're going to bring the elbows forward, roll the spine, tuck your chin into your chest, and then the elbows into your ribs. And then come on up and open up. So this is all upper body stuff. Nothing should be moving below your belly button. Open up, nice big opening, a little bit of a back bend even, and then you come forward, rolling again. Bring the elbows forward, tuck in, curl, but don't move your lower body. Come on up, open. Again, one more time, tuck, curl. You want to roll. And then with control, come on up. This is all core work here, really good stuff. And then arms come down to the side. Okay, pelvic tilt. We're going to move into the pelvic tilt. Think about the pelvis like a salad bowl, if you will, a salad bowl, okay? That's what we got going on here, a bowl this way, and it's full of water. If I tilt forward, pelvic tilt forward, I'm going to dump the water out. If I pull it back in, I'm going to be more level and the water is not going to fall. So just think about that salad bowl full of water. And you can bring your hands just gently onto the lap here. And now I'm going to dump the water out. So I have this arch in my back because I'm tilting it forward. And then I'm going to tuck it back, straightening the lower back. Again, trying to discover like quite a deep range of motion here. As much as you possibly can, controlling through the back, control through the belly, anterior, posterior tilt. And again, we try and isolate just this body part. When everything works independently, it works so much better when they're together, working in conjunction together, not all gummed up. Okay, and then last one, and then I tuck. Okay, that feels good. All right, back to standing again. You're going to bring your hands to your waist. Now, we're going to shift a little bit side to side. I want you to just get this feeling of what this actually feels like. Now, the attention should be to the bottoms of our feet right now. Notice if the weight is kind of moving from one toe, or it's going from here, going from there. It's kind of all over the place. Think about your heel at the back coming forward and opening up. It goes to the big toe and to the little toe, into the knuckles of those toes. It creates this triangle shape. So we're trying to get this triangle of weight. More weight into the heels, less into the toes. Okay, come back to neutral position. Here's one way we can actually test out to see how much weight we're putting more forward and more back. Take the arms forward, make a couple of fists so that the arms stay straight, and just start to squat. Keep the arms high, preferably even up at shoulder height. And notice when you come forward, can you lift your toes when you move into a squat with the arms up? And then stand up with the toes lifted the whole time? Or is there more weight shifted forward? It really does matter whether there's more weight shifted forward or back, just in terms of body positioning and ease of movement and overall strength. So same thing applies. Let's do that again. You're going to lift the arms up. You know where we're headed now. So think about not bending the knees, but think about there's a chair back here, and I'm going to sit at the back of the chair. So I have to get really far back this way, but I got to keep my upper body up too. So I got to do all those things and keep those toes up and lift and lower. So do that a couple of times. Notice if the belly is also shooting out, you're going to pull that belly in. So there's a whole bunch of stuff to do in the simple squat position. And should be pretty much very little tension into the knees. Out of 100%, maybe 10. Okay, maybe 20. One more. And release and let that go. Okay, good stuff. So really good to have this sense of body position in terms of relativity to the, I guess, with the shoulders on top and the hips below and the ankles right below us. We just want to be able to stand in this nice tall position. Okay, I'm just going to have a little sip of water again. I'll dry where I am. Also, the health of our feet matter quite a bit, of course, because the entire surface contact is into the ground, and we are standing in the ground, on the ground. So in this particular position, we want to be able to move our toes around quite a bit. You'll often see Brendan and I out swinging some balls with no shoes on, right? And we're just trying to get a real grounding, this sense of connection, if you will, to the floor, to the ground surface. It's so empowering, because in fact, the weight transfer happens that way. As you press down, equal weight is pressed up, and then we're trying to move all of that up through the body. And that's why these grounding exercises are so important. Okay, now, connectivity of the feet. You're going to lift the right heel up and bring your hands to your waist. A bit of balance there. And then the other side. So for most of us, this is pretty easy to do. But we have to see what we're like in various ranges of motion. So bring both heels down. Now let's sit down in that little bit of a chair movement. So it's a little bit of a squat, right? Take the arms forward and then lift one heel, lower it, and then do the other side. Now, what you want to pay attention to is how much your body is tipping to one side versus the other. Try and lift with no upper body. Remember, this is a lower body movement. So if we're really isolated here, we should be able to lift one at a time and nothing happening above. All right, come on up and take a quick break. So that was range of motion. Maybe when we went down about 30 degrees. Let's try a little bit more. Doesn't matter so much about the arm height. If you want to keep it high, it's actually better, but just do whatever you can here. It's more about the isolation of the leg. So we're going to come down a bit lower. We'll come down a little bit lower, almost to 90 degrees. And then you try and lift one, and then the other. And just notice what else is happening, or can you just stay here and isolate this movement? And ideally, we would like to. And then both, and lower, lift, lower, lift, lower, and then stand up and take a quick break. Okay, good stuff. Let's lift the right heel up. Take the toes underneath you. So if you're just newer to this movement, I'm just crunching the toes, like cracking knuckles in the hands. Very light movement here. And the pressure is only about a 3 or 4 out of 10, so not too much. Let it go. Other side. Okay, let that go. Now again, we do the right side. Turn the leg internally, internal rotation, as far as you can go. Bend the knee slightly. Try and get this little bit of an awkward press out of the heel. I do this a lot in my other classes, particularly with some of the older folks who we want to prevent falls in all ways, right? No falling. We don't want anybody to fall. So this type of movement here really creates a lot of flexibility in the foot. Okay, you're going to come up, external rotation, and then press down again a little bit more. This is more to the top of the foot. So our feet and hands are just so complicated. And we typically just don't stretch this stuff out. And our shoes protect us, so our feet and tissue are really tight. So should you have like an ankle rollover, have you ever had one of those walking on the sidewalk? It's a bad sidewalk, or you hit a crack and you roll over the heel. It's like, hey, you can snap an ankle, or if you do this, you won't. So come on up. Now again, internal. So this is what it would be more like. This shape here is where the snap would happen. So if we mimic the shape, bend in a little bit, and then if you cramp up, like I'm cramping up now, even though I do this quite a bit, I'm cramping. So you're just going to take the foot off, move around a little bit. Obviously today it's trying to figure out how to do this. Okay, so I go back into it, bend, press that heel forward a bit, and I just want to create this awkward looking movement. And the tension level is not too high, so it certainly doesn't feel awful. And in fact, because I do this a lot, it feels quite nice now because I'm actually stretching an area that I've already stretched before. It's not tight. And we do connect. We have this brain muscle connection that takes a while to kick in. Okay, come on up. And one more time out. And these pathways, these neurological pathways, are something that we need to, they're there, but we just need to fire them up. So doing things like this normalizes this movement. And we just stay a little bit longer because of the complexity here and the tight connective tissue. Okay, then we're going to lift up, move those toes around, and let's do the other side. Okay, so we're going to get in here, crunch those toes. Internal rotation, so it's a thigh to thigh movement. Bend the knee slightly and just work your way. Start at 0, kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4.5, and then you kind of hold. So challenge the shape, but come out on top. Don't let the shape take over. All right, so you just want to feel this movement, stretch it out, and it might feel kind of awkward. It certainly did. When I first started doing this, I was kind of like, feels awkward. Okay, up. External rotation. Oh, I'm cramping up a little bit again. Oh, interesting. I don't usually cramp up. Maybe magnesium is down. Okay, here we go. And the slight bend. And then we come up again, and then we do the internal rotation, bend into the shape a little bit more. Feels pretty nice. And come on up and move that around. Okay, good stuff. All warmed up. We're going to sit onto the floor. One of the things we're going to check today is our range of motion. So we're going to have our legs straight, arms behind us, and the feet roughly hip distance, well, maybe about shoulder distance. So if I was standing, this would be about shoulder distance apart. And keeping the knees locked in this position, what we're going to do is just move the entire leg, and we're checking to see the range of motion of our legs within the hip socket, and then we're going to look at right, we're going to look at left. So this is good to tell us how much range of motion the actual femur bone, the big bone up here, can rotate outward. So if you start to turn your right leg out, how far can you go? I'm going to back up a little bit. There. So the left foot, the toes are at 12 o'clock, and this one is, so basically think of this as 12 o'clock. How far on that dial can you go? Keep your legs straight. So the movement comes from up here at the back. Okay, good. Bring it back. Now do the other side. Does it match? Again, think about the clock. So I think on this side I was like almost, yeah, it was like 2 o'clock, and this side is like barely 2 o'clock. And as soon as I start to really force it, I really feel it in the back here. Okay, come back to neutral. Let's do that again. So now you know where you're going. The right foot, leg, the whole leg now. So try and keep the back of the leg down if you can. And that way everything just moves from the top. Dial it out. How far can you go? Can you go to 3 o'clock or even beyond? Some people can bring their outside of their foot right flat to the floor. I cannot. And that doesn't really mean anything. It just means that they can do it and I cannot. Back to center. And then back here. However, think about it this way. Let's say that you or I, okay, back to neutral, take a quick break. Let's say that you or I have this range of motion where I can go to 2 o'clock, maybe 2:30 at the most. Now there's another player that can go all the way and open it up. Do you think our swings are going to look the same or different? Completely different, but it's not going to necessarily dictate the accuracy, the consistency, the speed, or any of that. That just means that their range of motion is much greater in this particular movement, and this, which is quite important, than ours. So every body type is really different, and that is why this is such a really challenging type of a sport to move into, because we're looking at these professional Olympic level athletes doing these crazy things that we may not ever be able to get to. But it's good to know and good for us to practice. Okay, and here's another thing. The ranges of motion change depending on the separation between the legs. So if we just go out a little bit wider, and this time I'm going to do a little in and out. So try the external on the right. See how far you can go. Is it any further before you start to feel it in the back? Bring that to center, and this time turn it in. So try and keep the toes pointed up so the foot doesn't, you're not pointing the toes. The foot is flexed, toes coming towards your nose, and then you try and turn in. And for some of us, you may just cramp right in here as well. Come back to neutral and try the other side. So left leg opens out. Again, keep the leg straight. Ooh, I'm cramping in the back here. And then you come back, flex the foot, and then try and get it turned in. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so tight, and I can really feel it like cramping up here. So I clearly don't do this enough. Can I try both? So you take, like, windshield wipe them both out and then both in, and try and keep those knees locked. Out and in. Cool stuff, right? Okay, and we're going to come back to a neutral position. So you can bring your feet just a little bit closer. Now let's see what happens when we try and hinge forward. Without rolling your spine, so you want to keep the shoulders down and your spine straight. Bring your fingers to the side. Sit up fairly tall. So think about the breastbone is tall, the spine is tall. You're going to flex your feet, so this way, so we're not pointing. This is a dorsiflex this way. And then I'm just going to start to walk my fingertips forward. And then looking straight ahead and even up a little bit. So I'm trying not to look down. I'm trying to keep my entire spine straight and hinging at this hip crease. What is the range of motion? So same situation applies here. This amount of bending over. Now, some people can bring their chest to the floor. I clearly cannot. This is about my end range, and then I start to round. That's it, because all I've got. That's all I've got. So I'm trying to get length, move forward with a straight spine so I can hinge further a little bit. It releases the lower back. Now bring your hands behind you and press yourself forward. And flex your feet here. So you're not pointing your toes, you're pulling them back. And then go forward. All right, I'm going to come up. I'm going to test another range of motion. You're going to cross the left leg over the right. And we're still trying to sit on both butt cheeks, so not one up over the other. We're trying to be fairly neutral, which is sometimes challenging to do with these older joints like of mine. But what I'm going to do here again is I'm going to flex this foot, so it's not a lazy foot. I'm going to try and press this knee down. I'm going to take the arms behind me, and then again hinge forward as much as I can with one leg crossed. Try and keep the left knee down closer to the floor if possible. This is about the best I can do. And again, I'm just trying to move in what would typically be more of an awkward type position. So once we can start doing these movements, our body parts can start to isolate much easier. And this is a great stretch also. And if you find yourself getting a little bit, like I just found myself getting a bit of a release here, so I can adjust the hand so I can press myself forward a bit more. And still, I'm not really over baking this position at all. Okay, now release, but keep the leg crossed. Sit back just so that you can bring the right foot up. And then you're going to try and bring your body a little bit closer back into this position. There we go. And then we're going to stretch this out for a little bit in this position. I'm trying to get a little bit closer. A little bit of movement's okay. We can also do this lying on our back. This is also similar to what we tap into in a half pigeon position in yoga. And if your chest is close to your thighs, it's more intense. If you're a little bit further back, it's less intense. So I'm going to release that. Good stuff. Again, both legs go out. And let's switch and do the other side. So the right leg is going to cross. And try and open up that hip, sitting equally on both butt cheeks, arms behind you. You can tuck those arms right into your body so you can actually press yourself forward. And then flex both feet. So it's a dorsiflexion. And then we tip forward. And because of the position and a bunch of different joints working here, we do want to breathe. And just make sure that we circulate all those vital fluids around. It's really quite necessary. This is somewhat like doing an oil change on our bodies as we just move into some deeper stretching here. Good stuff. Okay, you're going to come up and again, sit back however you need to so you can bend the left knee, and then we get into the position on this side where we feel the outer hip, the right outer hip area. So the objective here is to get the chest fairly close to the legs. And for most of us, you'll feel this in the right outer hip. You'll feel it in your lower back probably as well. And then after a while, the arms get a little bit tired and you'll feel it there in the shoulders as well. And a little bit of movement's fine if that feels good. And let's go back into just a reset, a quick neutral position. Okay. And again, I'm going to, excuse me while I grab some water. How are we doing for time? Good. Okay, this is a great thing to do, actually, if you've only got a couple of minutes before a round and you want to do a quick kind of full body type movement. This is a good thing to do. This is called 90-90. Just legs are bent at 90 degrees. And I'm going to turn. So basically we've got an internal rotation on this one side, external rotation on the other side. So we're working into the hips. This is a really good position for us to be in. We try and neutralize or square ourselves to the front of our space so that my shoulders would be in line with my hips. Again, flexion of both feet just keeps the legs active and basically just like making a fist where we keep us grounded in that position. And I'm just going to start to lean forward. So adjust any way that you need to. Continue to turn. If you feel like I'm very tight, so if you feel that you're opening up here to the right, just try and turn down. So I'm trying to get that right shoulder down. And that's when I really feel the left outer hip. So for now, I'm just going to lean forward here, feel this in the lower back, left outer hip. And just stay here and breathe for a little bit. This is another nice deep position to be in, and it's really good for the hips to be in this position. Okay, now I'm going to come up. So I'm just going to turn to face you so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to try and sit up as tall as I possibly can. Okay, so there I'm tall as I can be. And I'm going to start to turn over to the left side. Okay, so I'm just going to take the arm back and turn my rib cage. And the tendency sometime here is to dip over to one side. So try and just sit up as tall as you possibly can. And turn, turn, turn. And we rotate the rib cage to the left. Keep your head turning as well. So we're actively making this turn. Keep the rib cage here. In fact, energetically, keep it turning to the left, but turn your head to the right, opposite direction. Good stuff. That right arm can even tuck behind. I think it's probably a good thing. You're looking past the right shoulder, but the right shoulder is trying to go to the left. Keep your knees down. Make sure you breathe. Good stuff. Come back to the neutral position. Okay, and then we're going to reset. So you're going to come up, take the legs a little bit wider with the arms behind you. So wide-legged position. Without any upper body movement, try and put the right knee down towards the floor. So without any extra stuff happening. So just go as far as you can go. We all have an end range of motion. Same thing applies. So we're trying to check out how far can we drop the knee in with this internal rotation on our own with our own strength, and is left and right the same. So no other accessory movements going on, just this. And then go ahead and take it all the way. So do what you need to do, but try and minimize other movements to bring the knee down. And then other side. And if you challenge yourself to try and stay still, like keeping shoulders back, then the challenge becomes going through the range of motion with limited assistance from other body parts. This is how we start to break those bonds. This is how we peel back the onion, if you will, where we tap into ranges of motion that we haven't done in a long time, potentially. So the more you do this, movement becomes so much more pleasurable. And for someone who has fairly bad arthritis, as I do, I can tell you that movement has made a massive difference for me, whereas the tendency is to not move because of the discomfort. Okay, and back to neutral. Or, sorry, let's just drop to 90-90 on this side. It's an easy drop to the other side. So we're going to do the same thing. Sit up fairly tall here, turn the face to the front, and then just tip your body weight forward as best you can with a straight spine. Essentially, even the neck, of course, is part of the spine. So I'm looking forward versus head down. And that keeps at least that part straight. And I'm just trying to hinge forward to bring the chest a little closer. Adjust if you need to. You do want to feel a good stretch here to the outer right hip area and to your probably lower back on the right side as well. Should feel that, but the right hip for sure. Yeah, and this is kind of like a pigeon position on the right side here. And this is the piriformis muscle that we are currently visiting, and this this particular location can sometimes act up as sciatica for some people. The sciatic nerve tucks in behind this muscle, so that when this muscle tightens up, it can put pressure onto the sciatic. So if you've ever had sciatic, this is a great thing to, depending on where you have it from, this is one of the good exercises to do. Okay, then we're going to come up. Flex both feet, again, adjust if you need to at all, sit up really tall, and I just start to turn over to the right side. As far as you can go, keep turning your head all the way to the right as far as you can go. Then when you can't go anymore, you are going to turn your head to the left. Tuck the left arm behind you now, keep that shoulder down. Keep the rib cage moving to the right, but turn your head to the left. Really take control of this position. This is a really good one. Remember, all the opposites is where we want to be. And then slowly come back to neutral position. Okay, those are great to practice quite often. I do encourage you to come back to the recordings that we have of these classes, and just to do this program at least 2, 3, 4 times a week even. All right, that is the session for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you next time. We're back, and that might even be in person.
Thanks, Lou. That was great.
Okay, my pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, and I'll see you